Hello everyone, this is NainaMD Beverly Hills. Welcome to my show, Fusion of Science and Beauty. And as you know, my passion is all about anti-aging and integrative medicine. Today, I've got a fabulous guest. Her name is Claudia Carbonell. She is one of the most prominent hypnotherapists, but different. And she's going to tell you today how that's different. There's something called neuro-linguistic programming. And when you combine that with hypnotherapy, it leads to almost miraculous healing. And I want to introduce Claudia. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Naina. It is such a privilege to come and see you.
Well, it is a privilege to really have you on the show and actually tell the audience about what is this NLP. And we all know what hypnosis is, and we all know what hypnotherapy is. But how is this different, number one? And really, how did you start? Tell us the story about how all this came about.
Wow. I have to go back several years past, perhaps 7 years ago. No, it's been more like almost 10 years.
Okay.
Time flies.
Yes.
My son, he was involved with pain medicine. He started with a bad TMJ condition, and so that led to a very painful surgery in his jaw. And so that led to him becoming pretty much he was abusing his pain medication.
Right.
And
which is really nothing. I mean, this
exactly.
is 1 in 4
yes,
of the 1
right.
in 5. The statistics are in America, people have that issue. So
right.
it's better to become transparent and see what we can do about it. And this is really why I brought you on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And this is hard for me to tell because, it
yes.
was my son who I saw him going through all of this pain, all of this addiction, and I was completely not knowing what to do. I took him to several doctors. I took him to several psychologists, and he was more and more addicted. So I told myself, okay, if I don't do something about it, I'm going to lose my son. And that led me to a whole study and research and discovery. And so I discovered the subconscious mind, and I fell in love with the subconscious mind and everything
yes.
that you can do with it.
Yes.
So I went to school. I learned and studied and researched hypnotherapy, NLP.
Yeah. And so basically the subconscious mind, and I've done the NLP training, and that's really why I'm so glad to have you on the show, because after discovering the subconscious mind, and we want to tell the audience what that is basically when you have your conscious mind. Exactly. And the subconscious mind is also functioning, and it's really the subconscious mind that controls all your outcomes.
Exactly.
Really the outcomes. You may think that your conscious mind is controlling all your thoughts, but you're feeding and the subconscious mind just kind of sitting there in the background and absorbing things. Mm-hmm. But it's already got its limited set of beliefs that right. you're feeding in. It's
Absolutely.
pretty much absorbing and collecting all the data, and then it's going to give you an outcome that you may not even expect. And that's really why what we're here about today at the show is for the audience to say, how come when I thought this was going to happen, something totally happened?
Right.
So in the case of for example, in your son, how did you right. then, so you are now looking at all these different treatments, you discover the subconscious mind, right. you start getting yourself versed and trained and becoming the expert then at some point. What happened?
What happened was that when I was treating my son, I discovered that he had a lot of not only limiting beliefs, but also a lot of traumas that happened when his dad and I got divorced. Yes. And as long as he maintained, the composure of a little boy waiting for his dad to come back and rescue him, he would do whatever it took at that time to be that little boy. Wow. So yes, he was abusing drugs, he wasn't going to school, he wasn't working, he wasn't doing anything. He was like completely dependent, right? Exactly, yes, okay. on the pain medication. He was in deep denial and problems.
What changed? How did you make that switch?
So what I did with him,
this is a really tremendous story, because We are
Right.
in a really, this is the reason I'm bringing this story is because we have addiction like no other. And if there are
Absolutely.
answers to help us
Absolutely.
out of this addiction, we need to pursue every bit of that treatment.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
yes.
So that's the reason why I do a
So you did
combination
so did you
of
do
different
like
therapies.
yes, you did combination on him?
I did timeline therapy, I did NLP, I did hypnotherapy, and the emotional freedom technique. So when I discover what happened to him, see, I always go deep and to discover what is there, what was the story behind the symptom. And when you go in and you discover, the grand cause of everything, there's nothing that you cannot do with the subconscious mind. And with my son specifically, I went back to that first event that made him feel so vulnerable.
So that's with the timeline therapy, right?
The timeline therapy,
It's going
exactly.
back to that event and finding out what emotions there were and trying to change your feelings toward that event and what the lessons learned from that event, right?
And you do it with the lessons. So you pick up the lessons, you pick up the meaning, the purpose of that event, and you let go of the emotion. And when you let go of the emotion, then you can start a new life. And then what I do is that I tell them, okay, now you have a purpose. Now let's use this event. Let's use this life experience that everybody has, and just do something about it. In the case of my son, now he wants to be the greatest consultant for addiction
Amazing.
Consultant.
Wow.
And he wants to have his own rehab center.
Fabulous.
And he told me, Mom, I just realized that that's really what I want to do.
Amazing.
So, I also help my clients to seek their life purpose. And that is ultimate.
Story. That's
the
really an
ultimate
amazing
thing.
story because, again, to have someone who is addicted and to be now in a state where they've overcome that addiction.
Right.
I mean, this is huge. And how long has it been? He's been in sort of addiction free, so to speak.
Addiction free. It's been now 8 months, and he's still in the rehab center. He doesn't deny it. He says that yes, he needs to be there, and he's receiving other help. He has a wonderful drug counselor who's with him all the time, and he has me, and I call him. We communicate on the phone, and that's another thing that I do. I do phone therapy.
So talk to us about phone therapy. How is that done?
It is done through the phone. Now, the first time that I see the client, I need to see the client to interact with the client.
Or a Skype?
We can do through Skype. We can do through FaceTime.
But do you have to visualize?
Exactly.
Do you have to visualize a client?
Actually, the first time that I consult with a client, I do it face to face with a camera or in person, and then from there we can do it over the phone, because then I would know how to hypnotize the person,
Right.
and I connect in a deeper level with them that way.
Very nice, very nice. And then so tell me, let's tell the audience also this, how are you combining then effectively the time, like when do you know to do timeline or NLP or hypnotherapy or all of the above? Or I'm sure you use all of it in their treatments, but how do you initially choose? And for the client, sometimes people don't like to be fully hypnotized. Mm-hmm. So timeline is an amazing thing because you can do it in semi-trance.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and great question.
Yes.
All depends on where the client is at the moment. Yeah. Some people really need just to be completely relaxed because they're full of stress. So timeline therapy is a little bit too emotional to go there at first. I usually start with a client doing just a progressive relaxation and working with the problem that they need at the most, So I do a lot of hypnotherapy the first time with progressive relaxation, and then exactly, okay. And then on the second or third I do timeline therapy, but it all depends on the person. Some people have this phobia, have this tremendous fear, so I do phobia cure. It all depends on the person.
Very nice. Tell us a little story about, I mean, how did you, your son, the story about how you got started with your son, but how did it go on then as a business? How did you make it and become one of the most prominent people in NLP?
Thank you. Well, also with his friends. His friends were in deep trouble. And so I started seeing his friends, and then that actually grew. And then I said, oh my gosh, I'm becoming really good at this. And it's just that I really, really want to help.
You have a passion
That
for it.
that is my whole purpose, helping people. And so that's when I started doing, a little bit more marketing. I have my website, and
What's
so
the name
that
of your
grew
website?
up. Face It Hypnosis.
Very good name.
Thank you. Face It Hypnosis, because I do a lot over Messenger.
And
FaceTime.
and then what about in terms of sessions? How long are the sessions? What do people normally expect? Like if they first come in for, let's say, the progressive relaxation hypnosis, how long does that last generally?
It usually lasts 2 hours. Okay. And for any session, 2 hours, because I always like to talk to the client, and I really want to make sure that all of their problems, all of their concerns and issues are addressed during the session. And I never look at my clock. Sometimes, and that happened to me several times, the session goes over 2 hour period, I can care less. Okay. As long as the client is completely better. And I expect of myself that for the first time that I see about 40 to 50% improvement.
Amazing.
I mean, I demand it on myself, and when I don't see that, gosh, it tortures me. But yes, I demand a lot.
And what about the phone? If you're seeing initially the very first time as a phone, right. As a phone therapy session, how long? The same thing? Could that last also then 2 hours, or is the phone tend to last less?
Great question. It tends to last less. I would say 1.5 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
It's about the time frame.
Okay. Yeah. So, we're going to come right back again. The website is called Face It Hypnosis.
Face It Hypnosis, correct.
That's so telling it like it is. You got to face it, you guys. You absolutely have to face it.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be back right after this break. NainaMD, Beverly Hills, Fusion of Science and Beauty. Hello everyone, this is NainaMD, Beverly Hills, Fusion of Science and Beauty. Welcome back to my show. And I've got a fabulous guest, Claudia Carbonell. She's an amazing, prominent NLP hypnotherapist. I'm going to let you finish up, Claudia, what we were really going and talking about. And that was the hypnotherapy is very important, but timeline therapy, if we could touch on, because that what makes you unique, is you've combined the two. So what is timeline therapy?
So timeline therapy is a therapy that we do for people to just let go of the 5 strongest emotions that all of us just have experienced. And they are anger, fear, sadness, hurt, and guilt. So what we do is we go to that first event that caused you to have, that type of emotions. And then we go to that event. We pick up the learning, we pick up the meaning, we pick up the purpose of that event. And so when we do that, we let go of the emotion, and then we can face our future with a much more, better attitude, with a willingness to just focus on the future and on the present and not on the past.
Can you give an example of a client that you might have treated?
Wow, one example, let's see. I have a cousin. And she had a terrible accident when she was a teenager. A fire just disfigured part of her face. She lost several fingers in her hands. Yes. The toes were removed in order to replace it for the fingers.
That must have been amazing.
Absolutely. And she was dysfunctional. She could not function normal. She's living in London, and she would tell me things like, Claudia, I cannot go out. And so I started knowing, getting to know the reasons why. And the reason why was that anything that was too small, too restrictive. Like for instance, when she went to the metro, when she went to the train,
Right.
an elevator, anything, a small space caused her that. And so I realized that it was because for so many months, about 6 or 7 months, she had a mask on her face that was so tight, and the subconscious mind only feels. It's very emotional, attached to events. And so what happened is that her subconscious mind associated any tightness, restriction with pain. Restrictive spaces with pain.
Wow.
So we went to the first event, and I told her, and she said, I was in bad pain. I said, but you survived. You are a survivor. Now look at your hands. And she always wore mittens to go out. I said, now look at those beautiful hands. Look everything you can do with them, and just love them. And she was looking at her hands, and then she associated that those hands that were mutilated were the ones that saved her. I mean, at the end, she did this with a fire, and that really protected her. Yes, she lost her fingers, but she didn't lose her life, and now she has a great purpose to live. Amazing. That's just one example.
So it's really letting go of those limited beliefs. That's what timeline therapy does, and you start sometimes
and emotions
and
too.
I know that when I've also done on certain clients, you start with one emotion, but it can create another. Aggravate another emotion, right? Sometimes when you treat anger, you can lead to more sadness. So that has to be quickly then dealt with. But when you go through all of the 5 and you actually release these limited beliefs and like you said, the emotions that were surrounding that initial event, it really is a different purpose it's a totally different mindset as you move forward for these clients.
Absolutely,
and I really encourage the audience to really look into this. There's very few people that actually are trained properly, right? When we say to do timeline therapy.
Right.
But when we compare this, the other thing too on timeline therapy is that a lot of people just don't like to go under hypnosis. They just don't. Because they always feel like, okay, and I've gone through that. I've actually had people, they said, I'm not going to go through any hypnosis because I don't want you giving any of your suggestions. Okay? They're afraid of being controlled, so to speak, right?
Absolutely.
And in a way, we do. In hypnosis, it's a way that you put people into a very progressive relaxation, and then based on what the need of the client is we the therapist will feed the suggestions. And so that they are more apt to take those suggestions, which they would have wanted, which they're wanting to do, but they're not being able to do. Absolutely. But a lot of people don't like that. Right. So this is another amazing way of trying to achieve that, and then going through all the emotions and putting people in a semi-trance, so where they don't have to go with that deep hypnotherapy, but they're still able to have a result.
Absolutely.
So I think this is an amazing way to do that. Obviously, the hypnotherapy and the timeline is the best way, but I found that a lot of people can still get benefits, right, just from timeline therapy.
Oh my goodness, tremendous benefits. And also I really challenge my clients to just make up another belief towards hypnotherapy, because everybody it's in hypnosis. Everybody goes in and out of hypnosis. When you are watching TV program,
or have you heard about the Apple iPhones that have the binaural beats?
Exactly.
Now on the Apple earphones?
Yes.
And that's
you are being hypnotized.
So basically, the binaural beats, that what they do is they put you in a state of more progressive relaxation, where let's say a commercial came, you'd be more apt to maybe hear that commercial or buy the product which that the commercial was talking about, right?
Exactly.
Isn't that a way of being hypnotized?
Exactly.
Artificial intelligence, that's the next frontier.
Exactly. And also we have to realize that it's very important to know how we've been programmed in our lives, and we have been programmed from our conception all the way up to 7, 8 years of age, because we don't have the capacity to analyze the data coming into us. And so in that theta state, everything has come into our subconscious mind without any filter, any analytical mind to filter it. And so we have been hypnotized. So now, in order to create a better result in our lives, we have to deprogram those programming that is not you. It's just a program that has been installed without our awareness. So that's even worse. And also realize that hypnosis is just a very suggestible state, and you are highly suggestible when you are believing something that is not really there. Yes. Like when you're watching a TV show, when you are absorbed in reading that book, you are in hypnosis. Before you go to sleep, you are being in hypnosis.
So recognize that. That's absolutely.
So
I think that's
it's not a mysterious
thing. It's not a mysterious thing.
Absolutely
exactly.
Not.
So and I think that's so important. Thank you for making that distinction, because people are so afraid of it, and they're not. Why? What prevents a person from not having a successful session? Because there are some people who resist it. There's a high resistance.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes. People that don't like to be hypnotized are people that think that they're giving up their control to you, and they don't like that. So as long as I keep my control and don't allow you to control me.
Is there a certain kind of personality that you find that resists the hypnosis? Is there?
Yes.
Is it more the controlling personality?
Strong-willed people. Strong-willed people, and also the belief that you are being like controlled by another person, and there's not such a thing, because without your permission, without your logical mind to accept a change, there's no power in the world that will allow this change to take place. Many times I hear, I answer the calls of really traumatized and very painful moms telling me, please help my son. He has X addiction. And then I said, now the $1 million question is, does he want to be helped? And they say no. When they say no, I said, I'm so sorry, but I cannot help them.
Wow.
They have to be willing. They have to be they need to want to be helped.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. No, that is absolutely right.
Right.
And one last thing. What about in terms of the, you have a lot of the talent. Part of your resume is that you've done all these programs for talent and modeling agencies. Talk about that. It's very interesting.
Thank you. For 14 years, I trained models, aspiring actors, aspiring models, and a lot of pageants. I did Miss America, I did Miss California, Miss Malibu.
In terms of what did you help? Tell me, when you say training, what did you do to participate?
Modeling, acting, runway, photo posing. But my favorite class was personal development. And in personal development, because I dealt with the personality of the people, and that's where I saw all of these emotions coming through, and also with hypnotherapy, I helped them a lot.
Well, tell me one thing, I'm very curious. They're all competitive. They all have to be competitive.
Right.
What did you find out? What was one striking, some features of a winner, so to speak, of a pageant winner? Or is there even that?
Absolutely, their personality, how secure they were about themselves, how worthy they thought they were, and any physical flaw just diminished by their wonderful personalities. In pageants, yes.
So in other words, it's not just the pageant is not just the scores on the what there is where was the swimsuit competition or this competition or that. What they participated, but it was really that personality that was going through.
Exactly.
Wow.
When they felt the winner, when they felt that they were very, very worthy, that came through. And
in your
those
sessions,
were the
in the
winners.
personal development sessions, did you find a lot of the contestants not feeling very worthy?
Oh my goodness, a lot of insecurities, a lot of traumas. These girls have been very much hurt, and so they thought that by winning a pageant and by relying on their physical beauty, then they would have more acceptance and purpose, and that's sad. Wow. So we need to go and change all of that.
That's really, really interesting. What is this in hypnotherapy? How can it help with depression?
With depression, with hypnotherapy, yes, a combination of hypnotherapy, timeline therapy. So we go again to the events that cause depression. And so we heal that. We bring out the learning, we bring out the purpose.
Have you seen a lot of people who are not helped by drugs? Like, for example, antidepressants, Prozac or Wellbutrin. These are some of the common antidepressants that people that often start on. Have you noticed, have you been able to help anyone that through hypnotherapy that were not getting relief from the antidepressants?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are times, so when I start with a person, some of them may be with antidepressants, and then working with the subconscious mind, they start lessening their dose up until they go with no dose, because see, antidepressants is just the bandage over the open wound. Yes. So you go to that wound and you heal it, you repair it, you stitch it up, and then there's no more need for the antidepressants. I've done that even with people who have left the psychiatric ward. I had an experience with a little girl, 24-year-old girl who was pregnant. She was 7 months pregnant, and she was at the psychiatric ward. She was taken out, and so her mom sought help with me, and I was able to help her. She had multiple personalities, and I was able to help her.
Wow, amazing.
There's nothing that the subconscious mind cannot do.
Yes. Let's end the show with, once again, how do you become aware of your subconscious mind?
Beautiful question. You become aware by being like a watchdog with your thoughts, always watching over them. And as soon as you have a negative thought, you catch it and you say stop. That's why it's so important to come to the right therapist, because my desire with my clients is for them to have a great relationship with their subconscious mind and to talk to them. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but it's not.
No, it's not
as
weird.
As soon as you get a bad thought, you say, stop it, Genevieve or whatever. Now give me a good thought. Now give me an inspiration, do this and that. With my limited belief, I thought that I was able to finish a book in a year. And I said stop it, snap out of it. I need that book because I had promised it to Pope Francis. You have to deliver me that book in a month. Didn't happen in a month. It happened in 2 months. But see, that's the best way that you can do it. You challenge your subconscious mind. You're a watchdog with your thoughts, and you always are in control of your thoughts. And the things that you want to do in life, your goals and aspirations.
So start. What is the one tip that you can give that everyone at least on a rudimentary level can just start? Are you saying just become aware of your thoughts?
Yes.
That would be it, right?
Absolutely. First of all, know who you are, what you want to achieve, and always look forward to that. Whenever you see yourself looking at the past, snap yourself out of it, stop it. The past is dead. Look forward to the future. Know that you have a purpose. Know that your goals are more important than being stuck. And just seek help with the right therapist.
There you go. Thank you so much for being on my
show. You're very welcome.
What is your website again?
FaceItHypnosis.com.
I love it. It's called FaceItHypnosis.com. And this has been a great show. Another way of healing, you guys. So we'll be back next week. NainaMD, Beverly Hills, Fusion of Science and Beauty.